I didn't make it through all 6 Hitchcocks, but I made it through 4 more. Um, that's too many movies. My brain is melting. I'm saving the 2 like wartime propaganda shorts for later. I need sleep. And one of them is in French, and I was like, no, it's too late for this. So here are the talkies that I did watch. Number 1, 1929's Blackmail. This one was filmed it started in silent and then became a talkie, and there's a silent version available, I guess, in the BFI archives. It stars Annie Andra, who was in the Manxman, but she had to speak and her accent was too thick, so her character is dubbed by Joan Barry. So you can't really tell, but the person talking is not the voice you're hearing. Essentially, she is the girlfriend of a detective. She's having, like, not the best time with him, and she decides to go home with an artist and just, be young and foolish. And then the artist tries to rape her, as often happens when women go home alone with men, and especially in movies. And so she stabs him to death with a knife. That's the movie. And then she's dazed and wanders off, and her detective boyfriend then has to investigate the murder and finds her glove in his apartment. And he already saw her run off with him, so he's like, oh my god, did you, like, kill him? And thankfully, someone else saw her with him and is blackmailing both of them. Shenanigans ensue. This has some great use of sound. This is Hitchcock's first sound film. There's a scene where a shopper at her father's shop is saying the word knife, and within many sentences, but the only thing that Alice, the main character, can hear is the word knife, and it gets louder and louder, and it's a great use of sound to show you a character's feelings. This was from 1929, so this is very early sound. And you're beginning to sort of see a lot of the Hitchcockian moments in this film. The next one, The Skin Game, it's from 1931, but it's sort of backwards in terms of his artistic growth, although it does have sort of that look at the darkness of human nature. It's about 2 neighbors, one that are old money, one that are new money, and the old money is pissed that the new money people are buying up all this land and turning it into industrialization, and they get some blackmail info on the daughter-in-law of this new family, and really dark, horrible things happen. The very end of this film I really enjoyed, with the daughter-in-law who was played by, Phyllis Constam. I hadn't seen her in anything before. Her final moments in this film are really, really great. This also includes Edmund Gwenn, aka Santa Claus. So it feels sort of a mixture of, like, Hitchcock in a class drama, like a British class drama. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, check that one out. The next one was Rich and Strange, also known as East of Shanghai. It's from 1931, and the title is an allusion to Full Fathom 5 from Shakespeare's The Tempest. And in it, this one is similar to some of the other mid-30s Hitch films that, like, feel like really bizarre, twisted versions of Noel Coward plays. So in this, your main character, Fred, played by Henry Kendall, is he's bored with his middle-class life. He wishes he could get by his wife, Emily, played by Joan Barry, the voice in Blackmail. He wishes he could get her nice things, and she's like, I don't really need nice things. But then suddenly, boom, his relative leaves him a bunch of money and is like, hey, instead of waiting till I'm dead, why don't you just go have a good life now? I don't need this money. And so they go on this trip where they hit port after port after port, and they spend too much money, and they hobnob with rich people, and they start pulling apart from each other, and then all kinds of crazy shit happens. Like, parts of this movie are Lifeboat, kind of. And obviously, the man falls for a grifter, and the woman has to give up her actual rich dude that supposedly loves her to get her husband back from being grifted. And in the end, they just end up back in their middle class life. But they appreciate each other, so there's a lesson to be learned from that. This is Rich and Strange. And then the last one I watched, I didn't particularly care for. This was 1939's Jamaica Inn. It stars Charles Lawton, and I enjoy Charles Lawton. And it also has Maureen O'Hara, and she's always great. And it's based on a novel by Daphne du Maurier. So it feels very much like you're about to watch Rebecca. Also Hitchcock du Maurier, right? But Rebecca is like a solid, wonderful, creepy-ass film. Jamaica Inn feels like, what is that film? I'm trying to think of the one I was thinking of. It's a Disney movie, Treasure Island. It felt to me, it's not set in an island, it's set on the coast, but it felt to me sort of the bombastic drunkenness of Treasure Island. If you've seen Treasure Island, the 30s version, you know what I mean, meets like Jane Eyre, kind of, because it's this gothic story, but it has all these just bombastic men being drunk and stealing things. And I don't know, it didn't quite work for me. There were bits of it, long stretches of it, that I just felt were really boring. But it's really violent, like ridiculously violent in a couple of places where I'm like, what is happening? So it almost, like, you can see it's almost like a training wheels for Rebecca, which is like a beautifully calibrated film, and this is a bunch of things sort of all meshed together and it doesn't quite work. I forgot that The Birds is also du Maurier. Wow. Okay. So this was Blackmail from 1929, Skin Game and Rich and Strange from 1931, and Jamaica Inn from 1939. I watched too many Hitchcock movies today. I have 2 shorts left. I'm getting there. All Hitchcock all the time. Have a good night. Actually, sleep. Sleep is good. Hitchcock movies are fun. Sleep is better. Almost all the time. Yes.